Hey there, everybody. Part two. We got cut off because I had several long videos that I've done recently. You can look back at my YouTube channel. Exceptionally long, and too many of those were still saved on my iPad. So took care of that real quick, and here we are, back at. Let's see, what do we got here? It is 6:54 p.m. now, still on Tuesday, July 19th, 2022. And we continue on with prayerless prayers. I'm going to start with Pat Ford at the top of the page here. Pat Ford, Tina, Keith, Alexander, Matthew Mustashkin, Kevin Johansson, the Republicano family, Tyler Jordan Lowe, Tyler Smith, Charles and Kim Plyler and their family, Anita, David, Michael and his mother, Al, Cheeseburger, Kenny, Kendrick, Dylan, Charlene Myers, Jeffrey Marmelstein, Steve Buiza, the Pacific Family Medicine Clinic staff, Beth Lewis, Ken McCune, Bob and Dallas Katz, Jen and Jesse, Steve Menini, Larry Lawton, Gabby Giffords, Jeff Henkel, Mark Zuckerberg and his family, John, Bill O'Reilly, Christopher Henning, Scott Akers, Debbie, George Jetson, Lil Kim, Gustavo Calvis, John Shuck, Greg Flowers, Rick Rivero, Andy Han, Stephen and Bernadette Connolly, the people of Ukraine, Skeeter, Russell, Vladimir Putin, Xander Wilkinson, Tom, Carl Porino, Steve Wilkinson, Rich and Sue Wilkinson, Angel Hernandez, Clinton Russell, and Olson Dental. And last but not least, we pray for all of those that have passed on from this life, inside and outside the faith and fear of the Lord. Especially the holy souls in purgatory and the church triumphant, as well as the repose of the souls of Howard Connolly, Christine Baker, the Reverend and Mrs. Fred and Cheryl Merrick, Nick Lee, Mickey McGee, Keith Lloyd, James, Dustin Rasmussen, John Judicki, Anita Rossmeyer, Phil DiMartino, Father Benedict Reed, Winfred and Marianne Johnson, Demetrius Fleming Davis, John Gotti, my grandparents on both sides, Jay Darling, Tyler White, Ron Popeil, Priscilla, Edison, Sean Bowman, Bob Dole, Betty White, Bob Saget, Harry Reed, Adolfo Caldas, Bill Brown, the Mariposa family, Lahori Ram, Robert E. Phelan, Norma Liedke, George Saldivar, the victims of the Uvalde, Texas elementary school shooting, Jaime Escalante, Levi, my Uncle Dave, and Sean. Here's today's log. I usually show you guys in the morning because that's, I usually let these 2 log entries go for the day and then I fill them in tomorrow in the morning. Just out of, not because I mean to do it that way, just because out of habit. And that's when the next time I'm forced to like recognize that I missed log entries. So, but today, we're all caught up. Someday, every now and then, I remember to do it at the time. Back when I prayed off video, it was, I never had that problem because the log entries were always done. You know what I mean? It was more critical that you do it right then. Now I have video. Like, I'm like, all right. But I still want it on paper too. Logging is a benefit that is more than the sum of its parts. I'll just leave it at that for now. I have done a video on logging. You can look it up. It was part of a 6 p.m. Prayerless Prayers video. Maybe a couple months ago or so. Not too long ago. So, I'm going to sit here and talk with you until I finish my coffee, and then we're going to go in and brush my teeth. You know what we can do? We can do another mix of, while we're waiting. Alexa, volume 8. Wabash Cannonball so far. This is when it was just Wabash Cannonball before I added the Do Ron Ron. It's the first mix. Mix 4. Sorry, whoops. Wait, hold on. My finger didn't go on the right button. I was kind of like, that does sound a lot like this. Mix 4. This is the one that I use as the basis for the Do Ron Ron. Mix 5. I'm a bit more compressed. I don't like this one as much. Mix 6. Mix 3. Nope, wrong thing. Okay, so those were like the last couple were not significant differences in the mix. I just sometimes when I make small changes, and I keep going to make sure that I can get back. You know what I mean? I will save a new mix. So I apologize. Those were not meant to be like listen to this one versus that one. I just couldn't remember which ones were which. That's all. And so okay, so going back to let's go to listen to Wabash Cannonball and to do Ron Ron again now. They combine so well. I'm so excited about working on this track now. It's amazing. It's pretty awesome. Very grateful to the Lord. Almost ready. I'm thinking about adding a bass trombone in there somewhere. See how that goes, because it feels like it needs a little bit of like, I want to add some of the do ron ron drive in there a little bit, and that will help flesh out where those sax, where the saxes would be, and the bass kind of driving that, lower end. For me, where in my environment, bass trombone kind of fills that need very, very well, or at least well enough. So we'll see. However, though, I don't, we'll see how it gels with the bass that's already there. It may be redundant and superfluous enough not to really superfluous in the sense that it really doesn't add what we're looking for, and it just just adds, or mud at worst, and it makes mud at the worst. So we don't want that. Interestingly enough, to have mixed a track like this back in 1963 when the Ron came out, really wouldn't have been able to do what I did there, because you need stereo for that. You know, if we would have had everything in all those tracks panned to the center, it would have sounded like mud. It wouldn't have sounded good at all. The only way you can kind of get that clarity where it's like, oh, this is going on here, is to pan left and right, out, over, you know. And so that wouldn't have been able to, you know, to do that back in Phil Spector's day, at Phil's Records, he wouldn't have been able to do that. It's pretty neat to consider. Hesitant, you know, I kind of want to go, you know what, let me just turn it off, I'll end this video, and then I'll start, you know, I'll do, you know, I've done that twice now, and never came back for it. So, like, the whole point of doing this in the the Prayerless Prayers video, is to do it in the fucking Prayerless Prayers video. That's what we're gonna do. So, yeah, I'm gonna sit here, literally until I'm ready, and I'm not gonna, you know, go smoke a cigarette, or anything like that, like I want to in between, which I could do if I just stop the video now, bite the bullet. So it's supposed to also be like didactic, meaning that you're supposed to, if you're having a problem, like, you know, like I am, it's supposed to help you if you see something in it that helps you. So that's what I'm here for. But it's not supposed to be telling you to do it. It's that you just kind of see and go, I'm gonna do that. So that way it's your idea. That way you don't feel like, I'm not doing what you told me to do, you know? And we all get sometimes. And, well, by me I mean, you know, honestly, that's never been an attitude I've had. I don't ever remember really having that, you know. As much as I'd like to we everything, sometimes, you know, sometimes you can't we something and be sincere. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been one of those types of people that's had a problem being told what to do, and, you know, really, so. Like, I've had a problem possibly with being told what to do, and then having a problem with what it was, and having a reason why that was not because you told me to do it. And I don't want you to tell me what to do, like, you know. But, like, you know what I mean? Like something sensible, yeah. But a lot of people do. So, you know, in consideration of that, I'm not telling you to do shit. So, all right. Hooray, there we are. Some people, though, too, it's bad enough if someone, you know what I mean? If a certain person, like, it's like a lot of times if people knew me, that would be enough. You know, for a lot of people I know to be like, I'm not doing that. Even if it is the best advice in the world. You know what I mean? I'm just like, that is so, I can't imagine me doing that. I'd feel stupid. I really would. I swear to God, I would feel like a moron. Like, in fact, where I've been tempted at times, where that has happened, to avoid something, like I've been tempted to avoid something that is really like an awesome choice, a course of action, because of something like really petty, you know. I've always been able to pretty much embarrass myself out of that, because I can't, you know what I mean? I feel like a fucking schmuck if I I like don't do something that is totally like the thing you should be doing because of something like really, you know what I mean? It's like cutting off your nose to spite your face, except with embarrassment, plus like extra embarrassment, Because cutting off your, that's interesting. That expression, cutting off your nose to spite your face, doesn't, it doesn't have the baggage of embarrassment attached to the phrase. Oftentimes, it can mean, because a lot of times you're mad, right? And when you're pissed, you're not really in a, the embarrassment hasn't sunk in until after the anger subsides, or the impetuousness or whatever. All right, so let's go in there. That's a character defect of mine, by the way, too. I admit it. It's not so great. It's like I have a tendency to want to shame people out of bad behavior, and guess what? It has never worked. You cannot shame people out of bad behavior, but for some reason, my brain gets enjoyment out of trying, or you know what I mean? Like, and I'm always telling my brain, like, don't do, you know what I mean? It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. But I can't get that idea out of my head, and that's the character defect. So I shouldn't even be talking about like what I just said, except to do this and be like, Justin, shouldn't be doing that. All right, this never once worked. I swear to God, in 43 years, and yet like for some reason I'm like ready to be like, I'm done with that. All right, let me grab the toothbrush log. I'll be right back. You want to take a walk around my house? I think so. I do. Then we'll come back. This is a pain in the ass camera to like use. I'm gonna do another separate house tour video. I'm so happy because this was all like full of dishes. Last few days between me not feeling up to it and working on other projects, and I hate that. So now it's all good. But it's also too, besides my bedroom, the only room that really gets messy. Living room never really does because I don't really do anything out here that much. Now, for those of you that don't know, my kitchen sink has been broke since March. And, well, I had a big to-do with my landlord as far as, like, he refused to fix it. And there was actually some sabotage that went on with the guy that came in here that was supposed to fix it, and he deliberately did not. And it was, I can't really call it anything else. I mean, I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but, like, there's no other way to kind of phrase it except what it was, and it was sabotage. But because there was a leak underneath here, you're not gonna be able to see very well. All right, yeah, it's dark down there. But so anyway, so this kitchen sink has not worked since March, and I have to wash dishes in the bathroom. So it's kind of, I've gotten used to it, but like. It'd be a lot easier if I could use my kitchen sink again. It's slightly more difficult to kind of keep the kitchen clean and do some cooking, but it's not, honestly, it's not that much more difficult. It's just an extra step or two kind of thing. And when you're not feeling well, like I've been, it's you notice it a little bit. So that's why I thank the Lord for I'm able to keep it this clean. A lot of people if their kitchen sink had not been working since March and it's July, like it wouldn't look like this in here at all, you know. So. All right. 719. Oh, it's 719, 719. Check that out. I was like, wait a minute. Well, I'm getting something mixed up. That's cool. I don't remember I've never had a time, honestly, where I've had a house and a place to live, unlike I did, you know, for 3 years up until 2020, 3+ years. I've never, when I've been, you know, when I've had a house, I've never had this much difficulty sticking to brushing, even when I was logging it back then. This is like a first, and I'm just like, you know, it's a little embarrassing, but it's at the same time, I'm like, it's all right. You know, like I get what's happening and stuff like that, and like I trust in the Lord with it. Let me put it that way. Because the whole thing is going to be didactic, and I'm big on it. I'm like, okay, this is cool, because I know we're going to come up, you know, whatever we do, it's going to be great for this ministry. Because this is exactly the sort of thing that, like, you know, I haven't had it happen with this, but the fact that it is happening with it now is, like, kind of in line with what we do here anyway, and this is going to make a great example for anybody that's having problems, like, as I said, with this or something else, incorporated in the video. All right, that is if you can listen to my ass talk all the, you know, ramble on and on and stuff. All right. Do things a little bit out of order. I don't know. No particular reason. I'm just going to get this ready for after brushing. I usually like to use the alcohol-free, but they didn't have any, so we would go with just this restoring formula that does have some alcohol in it. Better on your mouth and your gums and stuff like that to use alcohol free. It's not because I'm like I'm an alcoholic and I like to drink. I do, so it's not because of that. Just think, how many videos with the Angelus in Latin in it will you see with a person brushing their teeth in it afterward? It's going to be unique. Well, we already do unique, you know what I mean? And I'm very happy about that. It is pretty awesome. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but the idea, have you ever experienced something that comes through you, but it's not about you, but you recognize it as like brilliant, like, oh my God, yes, that is great. You know what I mean? It can come from anywhere. It's just, you know, you kind of recognize something apart from yourself, you know? Like, for example, like, kind of like, you know, when somebody discovers a truth, because really, you know, remember, truth is discovered. It's not like for example, you don't really invent mathematics. You know what I mean? You can't like invent calculus really. It's more like a you know what I mean? Since it already exists, just like you didn't invent name an element on the periodic chart. You know, you discovered. So, like, it's kind of like when you hear somebody come up with an idea that expresses like Einstein, right? It's kind of like, yes, you know, he's a genius there too, like for kind of coming upon that discovery. But also, apart from that, we can also look at the, you know, apart from him and anything connected to him, we can just look at the idea itself and be like, holy shit, that's amazing. Well, anyway, that's kind of what I do with this ministry because it's really unique. I see God at work, and I'm amazed at God's work. If I saw it anywhere, it would be the same thing, you know? All right, here we go. I mean, if I were Joel Osteen, I could just hire a toothbrusher. He just comes in at like 4 o'clock. I can just sit there doing whatever. Be in the middle of a prayer video. He just comes out and like, give me a few minutes. He just does it while I'm reading or something like that. There you go. You'd always find me in the middle of like the worst time ever too. That's just Murphy's Law. Not now, not in the middle of that thought. talked about like that being serious for a moment. I've talked about those times being the perfect time to practice whatever discipline you're trying to. You know what I mean? It is precisely then that you need to do it, because if you can't do it then, it doesn't really work that well. You know what I mean? So you can sometimes use that as a motivator. Sometimes that's worked for me. Sometimes it hasn't worked as well. If you want me to be honest, you know. And I've had mixed results on the same thing, you know, the same discipline at different times. You know, so. Blue finger, he's the man with the oral touch. I actually kind of sounds like something else. Man with the oral touch. That sounds like something you might get thrown out of your dentist's office for taking the wrong way. Responding to. Yeah, so if your dentist ever makes an admittedly like tasteless joke, like, yeah, I'm a very oral kind of guy or something like that, do not respond to the joke of your own. That is bad enough, but you can't go further, because then it really is like really inappropriate. You know what I mean? If you think about it, you know? Unless your dentist is Julia Harris, then it's probably all right. Luckily, I have a cleaning in September. What do they call it when dentists get divorced? Debridement. It's kind of a sexist dentist joke. It leaves out Dr. Julia Harris. You know, debridement almost sounds like in that sense it would be annulment, which is like the marriage. You know what I mean? Like it's not divorce. It's just it never happened. Get like extricating you and like you never, it never happened. All right, debridement. And it does sound like something that would exist as opposed to like the husbandman, because we live in a very like chauvinist world that we're still like kind of recovering the effects of even all these years later. So. One time I accidentally was in a video store back when they had those, you know. I picked up the wrong video. I got the Bridesman of Frankenstein. It was an hour-long video of a dental appointment. Boring. I have to make a graphic for that now. That is too good. It's going around in my head. The Bridesman of Frankenstein. We're gonna get Frankenstein, put him in a dental chair. That'll be like the cover of the movie cover. Hopefully, there are a variety of images of Frankenstein in various postures. In order to be able to do that, I'm kind of thinking, like off the top of my head, that this might be difficult. And yeah, Frankenstein kind of like in a, you know, Art Linkletter reclining in a chair, like that, perfect. That's what I need. All right. I don't know where you got that from, but like that, you know. Or, you know, if he's just laying on the ground like dead, you know. Maybe we can work it into that, because you only need to be slightly, you know, sheared photographically to do that, so. Do you know where they came up with the idea for the electric chair? I've talked about this before in another oral hygiene video. The guy that came up with it was a dentist. I shit you not, look it up. And he got the idea from his dental chair. Because I mean, obviously, it doesn't need to be a chair. It could be an electric bed. It could be an electric. You know what I mean? They could stand it up and put you in a rack and do it that way. They could anything. So excited to do this for my dentist's office. They're gonna, I'm sorry, I don't know, how can they not love it, first of all? You know what I mean? You can't work in a dental office and not love a fucking video cover, The Bridesman of Frankenstein. I mean, come on. That's great. You don't see that every day. All right, we're gonna let that be for now. Limited, small dent in it, but like, yeah, all right. Rome was built in a day. But this time we're gonna have to do it. No, just kidding. All right. So remember to brush your teeth. Okay? Try your best. Do whatever you gotta do. Because when you lose those fuckers, you know, I'll let you in a small secret. A lot of people do not know, and I'm being dead serious. It's how a lot of animals die in the wild. We don't even consider that because, like, we have options like dentures and implants if we can afford them. So people don't die from having no teeth if they're human, generally. Unless you're in a movie like, you know, I don't know, what was that, Saw or something like that? I don't know. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, elephants, it's a very common way for elephants to die. Is to have no teeth and then their teeth fall out, and then, you know, you think God would be like, okay, we're gonna make the elephants live a long time, let's make the teeth last, you know? Like, it's almost like having two manufacturers that didn't communicate. I don't know. But anyway, but it happens there, you know, so it's like, it's important, you know, you need them, you do. And I don't care how good you think the implants are, they are great probably, other than the price, but it's, you know, I just can't see, for example, like going, you know, fuck it, implants, my regular teeth doesn't make a difference. I mean, yeah, I think it makes a little bit of a difference. Try to keep your own teeth if you can, okay? And pray most of all, if I didn't say that just now. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.